The cover page of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 4 features Kawaki with the accompanying text, "The accumulated vortex of hatred." After returning to his base, Code looked at the 10 Tails, which was bound by a number of black receiver rods. He considered what Boruto said to him about the beast, that it was somehow different now after being transformed by Code. The rogue shinobi urged him to get rid of the beast while they were still under his control. Otherwise, what would face them all would be the worst possible future. Code continued to look at the restrained monster. He scoffed. As far as he could tell, the Jubi was the same as it had always been, a creature whose only instinct was consumption. It was hardly a threat to him in its current state. Mind you, Code was still reeling from the unending effects of Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko. At the same time, a toad also observed the scene from the Kara member's pocket. He was simultaneously with Boruto. He told the young Uzumaki to move quickly since they don't have any time left to waste. To this, Boruto asked the amphibian to quiet down for a moment as he focused and raised the hand seal. He admitted that he isn't nearly as skillful as his grandfather Minato. Kawaki just continued to observe Boruto. He wondered who his renegade brother was talking to. Then Boruto opened his eye. He had found his mark. And with that, Boruto activated the 4th Hokage's signature technique, the Flying Raijin. He instantly appeared behind Code with his hand on his sword. Code was caught off guard and shocked. He looked in awe towards his pursuer, who had just manipulated space and time to reach him. The disbelief was written all over his face. He wondered how this was possible, but was ignored as Boruto tended to more important matters by peering into the base. But there was nothing there. The black receiver rods now pierced into darkness. Concerned, Boruto questioned where the 10 Tails was. The toad couldn't believe it. He leapt from Boruto's shoulder to get a closer look. This didn't make sense. He was sure that the monster was just there only a moment ago. Boruto looked in another direction without speaking. What he saw was a tree like the ones that appeared in the Leaf Village during Code's invasion. The toad deduced that Code couldn't have possibly moved the Jubi. He didn't make any suspicious moves, and such a task would be far from easy. Code looked towards the toad with a hint of recognition. Just then, a figure appeared on top of the base, catching Boruto's attention. He looked at it without making any sudden movements. It peered back at him, looking like a bald pug with Rinnegan eyes. Seeing this, Boruto realized that they were already too late. Code looked at the being with wide eyes. He was confused. Was this Bug? However, Bug was still lodged within the tree. It seemed like he had lost consciousness. Boruto wondered if Code was talking about the guy stuck in the tree. Code turned his attention to his opponent. Boruto corrected him. This wasn't Bug. What they were dealing with was something different. This thing is a Shinju. Code's confusion only grew as he questioned what in the world Boruto was talking about. Shinju Bug shifted his attention towards Boruto and suddenly leapt in his direction. It grabbed Boruto, and the two of them continued to hurtle back towards the surrounding wall. Boruto's back crashed into it as the rock formation splintered and broke. Naruto's son tried his best to hold back the attacker. The Shinju questioned if the boy had come by his lonesome to be consumed. It even went as far as to call him Boruto Otsutsuki. Boruto glared at the entity, swiftly repelled it, and formed a hand seal. Electricity surged outward from his body and assailed the monster. This managed to repel it for a moment, but not long enough, as in the next, it had transformed one of its arms into a gaping maw. The flesh-made jaws hurtled towards the seated shinobi. They clamped down viciously, yet found no purchase. Boruto had activated the Flying Raijin yet again and transported himself next to Code. He stared at the being that returned his gaze. It mentioned how sneaky that jutsu happens to be. Code was in constant pain and confusion at this point. He demanded that Boruto begin explaining things already. Then he collapsed onto his side. Boruto just looked at the pathetic state of the man he once feared as a boy. He placed his hand on Code's chest and the pain subsided. He told Code to stand up since he had deactivated the Uzuhiko. Boruto also added that Code should prepare for the enemy's attack. There was no way he'd be able to explain things right now, so he just told the claw user to shut up and provide support. Code began to gather himself. He took a good look at the being in front of them. Despite what Boruto just said about explanations, Code wanted to know what happened to the 10 Tails. He wondered if it had anything to do with Bug being eaten by the tree. Boruto emphasized the fact that it wasn't just Bug that had been affected. Everyone that had been turned into a tree would share a similar fate. Code tried to wrap his head around everything, but another figure loomed high above and caught them both off guard as it offered its own explanation. It's chakra. The momentary allies turned to the new presence. When its back turned, it continued to speak about the lives that reside on the planet that had been taken in by the trees. All their chakra had been absorbed, and their lives resulted in the creation of the Shinju. The making of a chakra fruit was their original instinct. Then it spoke to Code specifically. Being awakened by Code has shifted their existence, resulting in the possession of egos. While they both looked at the one in the air, yet another Shinju approached them. A feminine voice pitied Code. Despite his best efforts, it seemed to be the boy's destiny to serve as a clown being used by others. It was laughable. Code had no response. Boruto's told him that they needed to prioritize escape and re-strategize. But before he could, Boruto noticed perhaps the most concerning presence of all. He stared at the hooded figure. The aura it gave off was on another level. Boruto couldn't take his eyes off of them. From there, we head back to the Hidden Leaf Village. Shikamaru had just been informed by Kawaki that Boruto managed to suddenly disappear. The strategist couldn't believe that Boruto had already mastered space-time ninjutsu in such a short period of time. Kawaki wasn't sure about the details, but noted that his adopted brother left after Code made his escape. It seemed like he was tracking the guy. Shikamaru questioned if this meant that Boruto's target had been Code all along, but Kawaki questioned if their two enemies might be connected. Before Boruto left, he seemed to be speaking to someone. He wondered if it might have been someone from the detection team. Shikamaru confirmed that all the detection team's reports were currently under investigation. If someone happened to be supporting Boruto, they would know quickly. Sarada made her entrance and scolded the two for foolishly overlooking the simple explanation. Code attacked the village, and Boruto forced him to retreat. Based on the conversations they had, it was pretty obvious. Not to mention, they could easily confirm the truth with Ada. Kawaki told Sarada not to misunderstand the situation. Boruto is an Otsutsuki, and therefore it does not matter what his intentions are. He is an enemy that they need to kill. Yet another sentiment that Sarada found fault with, since Kawaki himself is an Otsutsuki too. Kawaki figured that this went without saying, but decided to step to Sarada anyways. In his mind, Kawaki is an Otsutsuki that kills Otsutsuki. He believes that his power only exists to do so. Once that's all settled, he'll have no problem disappearing. But Sarada doesn't get to choose. He then asked her if he was understood. But Sarada did not back down for a second. As a shinobi that aims to become Hokage, she refuses to let Kawaki do whatever he wants. Shikamaru then told the two of them to settle down before he gets angry as the current Hokage. They just looked at him. Getting back on topic, Shikamaru wanted to know what was going on with all the trees. Sarada wasn't sure, but at the very least, she was able to confirm that the people that had been turned into trees were still alive. Therefore, there might be a way for them to be saved. Judging from the way he spoke, she presumed that Boruto might know something more about them. Kawaki remained silent. Shikamaru put two and two together and theorized that this was why Boruto decided to target Code. Sarada made it clear that regardless of Boruto's intentions, there was no doubt that he is Code's enemy. For the time being, since Code is a threat to the Hidden Leaf Village, she believes that their best course of action is to provide support to Boruto and defeat their mutual enemy. But none of them have any idea about the beyond Akatsuki level threat that now threatens the future of their world. Code was still processing their words, just like how Boruto was still staring at one of the Shinju in particular. Disregarding the Toad's advice, Boruto began reaching for his sword in preparation for an attack. Yet again, the Toad emphasized the fact that they have failed. Right now, the ninja absolutely needed to flee. The stranger turned to him. Emerging from a claw mark on the side of the base was a familiar face of a man who had turned his own arm into a blade. Code just barely managed to notice as Shinju Sasuke went for a decapitation attack. Boruto and Code managed to duck out of the way. Boruto and Shinju Sasuke locked eyes. Then, the evil Jubi-powered Uchiha prepared a Chidori. In turn, Boruto formed a Rasengan. The two powers collided and canceled each other out. The other Shinju just observed without making moves of their own. They didn't move an inch and remained casual. The combatants continued to stare each other down as the powers totally dispersed. However, Shinju Bug wasn't nearly as patient and moved in for yet another maw attack. Boruto swung his sword, which the monstrous jaw clamped down on. The situation was getting worse by the moment. Suddenly, Boruto was hoisted up and bound by a rock formation. Things were looking bad, and the Toad was very worried. The jester-looking Shinju looked at him and slowly began to approach. Boruto called out to Code, asking for his help since he was in danger too. Code considered it for a moment. Then he mentioned how if he does nothing, they'll just end up eating Boruto. He wasn't expecting things to develop like this, but didn't mind too much if it meant being rid of his enemy. and with that, he began slipping away through one of his claw marks. Boruto yelled Code's name in frustration. The toad continued to beg Boruto to run away, because if Boruto dies, everything would have been a waste. Naruto's son looked up at the hovering Shinju, who returned his gaze. Boruto reluctantly raised the hand seal and activated the flying Raijin to escape. Shinju Sasuke just looked at the rock formation without uttering a single word. The suspended Shinju considered Boruto Otsutsuki to be lucky. Their ego had only just awakened. Their curiosity and desire for knowledge was still beyond their instincts that told them to eat him. He could run anywhere in this world, but that would not save him from his destiny. Sometime later, Boruto remained seated with his back against a tree. He looked down at the headband he'd inherited from his master. A man approached him while asking if the kid wanted to instantly destroy their planet. He insisted that the ninja never push himself like that again. Boruto apologized. He rushed things, and the one talking to him was Master Jiraiya's clone, Kashin Koji. He wasn't exactly trying to comfort Boruto, but he believed his comrade should have known that this would be a likely outcome. But their response would not change. Regardless of the circumstances, they were going to fight. Boruto looked up a bit, while remaining silent. Eventually, he apologized. The person he was speaking to would need to wait just a little while longer, as embedded in this tree was Sasuke. Oh my goodness, Boruto is on another level right now with an incredible 10 out of 10 run. We are dealing with a beyond Jinchuriki level, consistently growing Akatsuki with Rinnegans that have Sasuke with both his arms. Not to mention the fact that the Otsutsuki are still very much a thing. The hype is real. So please leave us all your thoughts on all this madness in the comments. As always, I'm Sliceful Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.